What's going on, guys? In today's video, I thought we would go back and have a look at the McFarlane Toys movie Maniacs Army of Darkness Musicland exclusive Ash and the Pit Witch. Now to figure out how tall these are, luckily we won't need the Necronomicon for that, but we will need a tape measure. Let's take the tape measure first to Ash, telling us that the figure is about 7 inches in height. Pit Witch, on the other hand, stands closer to about 6.5 inches in height. A little fun fact about the Pit Witch is I think she was actually played by Patricia Tallman, who I best know from Babylon 5. I think she was in Babylon 5 for about 4 years or so, but she was also in the remake of A Night of the Living Dead, which was the 1990 release. So she played the Pit Witch, which was kind of cool, even though, you know, probably not the nicest looking of characters to be, you know, of course, to be having to portray in a movie. Pit Witch is a decent enough looking figure. In fact, I think the only way you can get her is through the Musicland release, which luckily nowadays is a lot easier to come by. McFarlane Toys, especially exclusives to stores and exclusives to their websites, were always extremely expensive figures. Now, of course, as the interest has kind of calmed itself down, it's a little bit easier to come across these. So I think if you picked up this set now, you probably would be paying about $30, maybe $35, $40 for it. So that's first. Maybe I was going to have a look at the Pit Witch first, but I think we'll look at Ash first, and then we'll go to the Pit Witch. Because the Ash here is really not that much different than the Ash that we got already from the movie Maniac line. Bearing still a resemblance that I don't necessarily would say looks like Bruce Campbell, but I guess if you factor in his hairstyle, the fact that he's got a ripped blue shirt, blue pants, oh, and yeah, he's got a severed arm featuring a chainsaw, you can kind of gauge who exactly this guy is, even though the likeness isn't the greatest. Again, a close-up on the face, it's not terrible, but I don't think it's one of the better ones from McFarlane. I think it could have used a lot of work. He also has this real noticeable seam running down his arm, which I can't figure out why that would have been there. It's like this big long gash that runs right through his wristwatch. It's almost as if they had to remold the arm or something. But again, like, the face sculpt is passable. It's not spectacular, but it's not poor either. I think if I was to think of all the movie Maniac figure releases, I don't think I would put this guy at the very bottom, but he may potentially be, well, I think I would put Michael Myers much further down on the list of poor looking McFarlane Toy movie Maniac figures before I would put, like, this guy here. He does come with an accessory, that of which being his boomstick, which initially, when you try getting it out of his holster, it's extremely difficult, leading me first to think that the boomstick in this instance wasn't removable, but it is something that you can take off. Mind you, he doesn't really have a hand to properly hold it. I suppose you can kind of just wedge it into his hand, but it doesn't really look like he's holding it. It looks more so like it's just kind of stuck to his hand, like somebody applied some glue to it, sort of thing. But I guess it's enough if you wanted to get him to hold it. Ultimately, it still falls victim to the fact that these figures are pre-posed, so he still has this one big, you know, angled arm holding the chainsaw. But, you know, just wanted to show you that he does somewhat hold it. Again, it's not the greatest, though. So we'll go ahead and put that back into his holster. His chainsaw is nicely done. It's got some elements there of blood. I always find that the chainsaws from the McFarlane toys always felt like really, not that they had the potential to cut, but they definitely had a more coarser blade to them than maybe, you know, like the likes of NECA, for example, which uses a slightly softer plastic. This blade, oh, you can almost even hear it. Well, you probably can hear it. You know what that's the sound of? Fragile. So mindful of this, you don't accidentally break this blade. The chainsaw I thought could have been removed. It looks like it may be glued in. Actually, there we go. You can remove it. Although he's just gonna have a stump and a severed hand. So there's probably no sense in taking that off when you are displaying this guy. Posability on Ash, his head rotates all the way around. Gets kind of stuck around the collar, but you can still accomplish it. Arms rotate all the way around. Kind of gets stuck around the pants pocket area. It's almost as if he's reaching for spare change. Maybe he can tip the pit witch some money and she'll just leave him be. The hands, this hand does not seem to rotate. Looks like it's actually stuck. It may potentially allow me to rotate it, but this particular figure at this present time just doesn't let me turn it. And learning my lesson from the Michael Myers, I do not want to inadvertently break anything in the process of trying to review this for you guys. So believe in the sense that there could be a swivel joint here on the hand. Just take my word for it though. I can't seem to rotate the hand without feeling the risk of potentially breaking it. Nothing in the waist, and then ultimately he only has ankle swivels. Swivel. Ultimately though, oh, and also, we can't forget this arm here. Arm rotates all the way around, and in some regards you can rotate this as well. I guess you could have the chainsaw up, you could have the chainsaw down. Either way, Ash is a bit of a trickier figure to stand just by the fact that he, as you can see, angles forward. You kind of a lot of times find yourself having to use a balancing a lot of hope that he's not going to topple over. He does technically have peg holes on the undersides of his feet, which I did cheat at the beginning of this review. I just used peg stands on both figures so that they wouldn't topple over on me, at least until I got to the initial meat and the potatoes of the review. So let's have a look at the Pit Witch. Pit Witch, sounds like I'm saying sandwich or some sort of variation of a sandwich. Looks creepy and very nicely sculpted here. Now, something that she has that Ash doesn't have nearly enough of is dark, contrasting colors. So again, you've got the lighter shades of the skin tone, which is almost like a borderline yellowish flesh tone, but then she's got these really nice, dark, recessed colors, especially like the black in the face, and also that carries over then to, well, her very attractive-looking body, made up of all these rags. The rags are not as soft as one would think. The areas on the sleeves are actually as dense of a plastic as her hands. The only soft aspect of it is the skirt. The skirt is, well, the bottom portion of her dress is a softer plastic. You can see it's got some nice frayed work, little cuts and rips and stuff like that at the bottom there. Then she's got her feet, very mangled. Hate to have her coming in to get a pedicure. I would probably, if I was working there, I think I would say I was sick. I had to leave abruptly and very, very, very quickly, as quickly as I possibly could. She does have chains, which is something that McFarlane loves to do. So anytime there's a figure that has chains, McFarlane's all over it. She has chains that running basically from the bracelet area of her shackles to her belt, and then down to the shackles located on her ankles area. And then she's also got one that connects her 2 feet together. They are chains, however, they feel like they are plastic chains, not that they feel like they're metal. They feel like they're probably closer to being plastic. But again, face sculpt's pretty good, all around, not too bad. Articulation on her, as limited as she may be, she does have the arm to swivel. She has the hands as well, hand. This arm also swivels. Head swivels. Oh, and also, let me show you the hair. I don't want to leave that off. Hair looks actually pretty cool too. And it's a soft plastic, just in case you were wondering. Doesn't really have a lot of paint, favoring more so just a slick black. Doesn't have as nearly as much the paint as her really nice dress. Doesn't have anything in the waist. Doesn't really seem to have anything much in the way of her legs. She's got just like one swivel, and then she can swivel up the legs. So it's just this alternating sense of posability on these figures. They're never consistent. Never do you get symmetrical articulation on the McFarlane figures on either side. Usually one figure will have a swivel on the arm, while the other arm has a swivel, say, in the shoulder. But overall, not bad looking figures, especially if you've been clamoring you know, as collecting as you may be doing for the Army of Darkness stuff, and you really think to yourself, I've been missing out my whole life for a Pit Witch, this will really be the set that you're getting. Yes, you already get yourself an Ash that you may already have from a Movie Maniacs figure release, but at the very least, you get yourself as well the Musicland release exclusive Pit Witch. Even though these are older figures, much like the other McFarlane Movie Maniac figures, I do think these turned out quite nicely. I think the better, stronger figure of the set here being the Pit Witch. Ash, in typical Ash fashion, looks decent enough in only a passable sense. He doesn't really look close enough to looking like Ash, but really, we have enough of the NECA releases now for Army of Darkness and Evil Dead and all that stuff that we have our fair share of Ashes that look perfectly fine. We're also going to be getting ourselves, I think, another Ultimate Ash in the near future. So really, this set benefits those that maybe didn't get their chance to get a Movie Maniacs Ash initially, but more so for fans that wanted to get themselves a Pit Witch that up to this point, we really have not gotten another Pit Witch, so this is a good set for that. Pit Witch does feel slightly dated. I mean, she does have like the go-to for paint. Let's put a plastic color on a figure and then just slop a whole bunch of black paint all over her. That's essentially what we get with not only her, but also a lot of the other Movie Maniacs, and really for that matter, other McFarlane figure releases as well. So you kind of go in expecting that the figure is going to look still a little bit rough, but by comparing her to maybe some of the other figures that we've gotten, she's actually not as bad as I thought she was going to be. Her posability sure is limited, but that, again, goes without saying. I think she's not a bad-looking figure if you want to add her, say, along with NECA-released figures. I could very well display her still with the Ash, because both figures are coming from the line, but I think she's good enough, just barely, to fit in well with, say, the NECA-released Ash figures as well. And like I said, this was the Musicland exclusive. At the time, Musicland was a store. This was the only place where you could pick up this figure set. So ultimately, this set at one point was, I think it was about $150 to $200 if you want to find it on eBay. Luckily, the storm has calmed itself quite a bit now that you could probably pick up this set for about $30 to $35, maybe at the very most $40. I don't know if I would spend that much more for it, because you can get an Ash figure from Movie Maniacs for a pretty good price, generally about $10 to $15. I wouldn't break the bank getting this particular set unless you really desperately want a Pit Witch, or maybe you never picked up an Ash. And at the very least, then you can split the costs that, you know, a set of two figures, you know, you pay about $20 per figure. I don't think I would pay anything more, though, than $40 to $45 for this set. Today, though, we were having a look at the McFarlane Toys Movie Maniacs. This was the Army of Darkness, Musicland exclusive, Ash, and the Pit Witch. If you guys want to check out some more Movie Maniac reviews, I've got a playlist on this channel set up just for you. Yes, specifically you. If you also wanted to hit that little subscribe button down below, more videos will be coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.